S&P 500 turned lower in the final hour of the trade after, you guessed it, a flare-up in the trade war with China. President Trump threatening to stop trade in cooking oil with China in a Truth Social post, a retaliatory move after Beijing is continuing to refuse to buy American soybeans.
We are considering terminating business with China having to do with cooking oil and other elements of trade as retribution. As an example, we can easily produce cooking oil ourselves. We don't need to purchase it from China.
I'm guessing you didn't have cooking oil on the menu for the program, but that's what the president's talking about on Truth Social, and this post helped to send the markets lower.
President Trump is dragging the country into another mess, and this time the situation is becoming embarrassing. The trade deal with China is already weak and shaking, yet he has decided to create a fresh fight over something as basic as cooking oil. This is happening right after China finally restarted buying American soybeans and resumed the rare earth supplies that America needs for its factories and defense systems. Instead of protecting what little stability is left, Trump is picking another fight that could damage the entire system. Even members of the GOP are getting tired of these tariff shocks. New polling shows that Republican voters are feeling the pain in their wallets, and party leaders know that the rising prices could damage them in the next election. When a president's own political base starts losing patience, the warning signs should be taken seriously. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe. You do not want to miss the rest of this story because the situation is changing fast and many people are not ready for what is coming. The cooking oil threat may look small, but it exposes a much deeper weakness. America depends on foreign supply chains for basic food processing, and it cannot produce enough on its own to replace imports quickly. When Trump threatens even one product, you can see the shock move through markets. Industries start recalculating risks. Traders tighten their positions. Farmers watch prices jump and fall. The fear spreads quickly because everyone understands that one reckless statement can shake the entire supply chain. Stay with me. What you are about to hear will raise questions that many officials hoped you would never ask, and once you see the full picture, it will be impossible to ignore. You may have heard that China came back for U.S. soybeans after the recent diplomatic talks. Yes, there were sizable cargoes shipped. According to a Reuters, at least 6 vessels loaded soybeans at Gulf Coast terminals bound for China, and a 7th had already departed. The buyer side reportedly booked nearly 2 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans for the 2025-26 marketing year. But the broader context kills the triumph. Just a month earlier, for October 2025, Chinese customs data showed 0 purchases of U.S. soybeans, after having bought 541,434 metric tons in the same month a year earlier. This happened while Brazil increased their sales to China. At the same time, China's total soybean imports surged. In October alone, China imported a record 9.48 million metric tons, overwhelmingly from South America. So while a burst of U.S. cargoes has returned, overall demand has shifted, and older buying patterns did not resume. Consider price signals. Analysts at the White House reportedly say China committed to buying 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans between November and December 2025, down from around 22.5 million metric tons in the previous season. So it makes absolutely no sense that Trump is making it look like he has secured a major victory with China. The truth is, he has not. Yet even if those volumes materialize, that would still be well below the typical average of 28.8 million tons per crop season over the previous 5 years. What does that tell you? China's return is tactical, not structural. They are paying premiums at U.S. export terminals to secure supply quickly. That signals they want volume and timeliness, but are not committing long-term. If it were a long-term shift, you'd expect stable or growing bookings spread over multiple months, not a rush for end-of-season volume. So I ask you, when you hear triumphant numbers about renewed Chinese demand, remember the gap between temporary volume spikes and structural demand. Which side are you betting on? Now let's take an odd but potent lever, used cooking oil. According to S&P Global Market Intelligence, China exported a record 2.9 million metric tons of used cooking oil, or UCO, in 2024, an increase of 43.5% compared with previous year. The United States was the single largest importer, receiving around 1.3 million metric tons, up 52% from 2023 and accounting for roughly 43% of China's total UCO exports. Why the jump? Biofuel mandates, especially renewable diesel tax credits and clean fuel standards. So when you hear threats about cutting off cooking oil exports, realize this is not just dinner table talk. Disrupting UCO flows raises feedstock costs for biodiesel refiners, squeezes margins, increases compliance costs under clean fuel regimes, and can ripple through waste oil processor networks. For businesses that base revenue on low-value inputs, even a small gap in supply can make operations unprofitable. In other words, it's a niche lever, powerful regionally and politically, even if globally modest. And perhaps crucially, the threat is largely rhetorical. Observers note that UCO shipments had already been rising sharply, even before talk of bans. If China were serious about punishing markets, they could strike at higher-value goods. Instead, choosing UCO signals, "We can hurt you, but we won't cause a global shock." A disruption would punish a specific constituency, including biofuel refiners and waste oil recyclers, rather than destabilizing major markets. We need to state this clearly. What Trump is threatening to do here could destroy the entire U.S. economy and even change U.S. politics in a very big way. U.S. farmers, processors, logistics networks, futures markets, all depend on demand from China. Over the first 7 months of 2025, shipments to China dropped sharply. Volume fell about 39%, and value plunged by around 51% compared with the same period the prior year. For many farms, profits have already fallen by tens of dollars per acre. Contrast that with the cooking oil trade from China to the U.S. In 2024, China exported around $1.2 billion worth of cooking oil to the U.S. So the U.S. is set to lose a market worth $12 billion just to punish China with a lose of $1.2 billion. Meaning Trump is ready to make the U.S. lose 10 times more money. All for what? It gets worse because from a political and economic perspective, Trump would be sacrificing a sector that supports thousands of farm jobs in large rural state voter blocks for the sake of cutting a trade stream worth a fraction of the value. If Chinese buyers retaliate, soybean farmers, many of whom vote Republican, will bear the cost. That could erode support in key farming states just ahead of midterm elections. So ask yourself, why would a leader cut off a multi-billion-dollar trade that underpins his political base just to yank a marginal import worth a sliver of that? The logic doesn't hold. The move risks far more than it gains. And for what? A symbolic jab. Now, this is where the real game is. While soybeans and cooking oil get the headlines, rare earths carry weight measured in national security, manufacturing capability, and the backbone of modern technology. Let's talk numbers. According to recent industry research, China accounts for roughly 70% of global rare earth ore mining. But more importantly, it controls around 90% of global rare earth refining and separation capacity. Some estimates push that share to over 88 to 90%. Downstream, in permanent magnet production, China manufactures about 92% of the world's permanent magnets. What does all that mean? Even if rare earth ore is mined outside China, in the US, Australia, or Africa, it typically gets shipped to China for refining and separation into oxides or metals, then mixed and processed into critical alloys, magnets, or components. The refining stage is toxic, capital-intensive, and environmentally regulated. Many countries lack the political will or regulatory environment to scale it rapidly. That means that no matter where ore comes from, most of the value-added work currently happens under Chinese control. And what of the current political backdrop? According to Reuters, China has issued its first batch of streamlined general licenses for rare earth exports. On the face of it, that looks like easing. Shipments to sectors accelerate. But the controlling legal framework remains. These licenses are valid for a year and apply to authorized customers, not a wholesale liberalization. That means China retains the ability to retighten at any moment. Once the licensing collar slackens, you get a flow, tighten it, and the tap can shut again. But what's the real risk if China retightens or imposes new export restrictions? The impacts could be severe. According to a report cited by US and European automakers and defense sector watchers, a sudden clampdown would delay production of EV motors, wind turbines, military electronics, and more. For example, in just 1 month, China exported 3,188 metric tons of rare earth permanent magnets globally, a 660% increase over the previous month, with about 353 metric tons shipped to the US alone. Those magnets flow into cars, turbines, weapon systems. Cut that off, and assembly lines halt. So when the media focuses on soybeans and cooking oil, you must ask, why isn't the conversation about the materials that power every EV, every missile, every clean energy turbine, the materials we don't see but that drive everything? While all these is happening, the Republican Party is getting fed up with Trump. The Politico report shows that Trump's expanding tariff strategy is beginning to create political risks for his own party. The new polling data reveals that Republican support is not as strong as the White House suggests. Only a small share of Trump's 2024 voters believes the tariffs are helping the U.S. economy right now. A larger section believes tariffs might help in the long term, but they are already harming household budgets in the short term. This is important because high consumer prices remain a serious issue heading into the 2026 midterm elections, and businesses are warning that tariff costs must be passed directly to consumers. For the Republican Party, this means more tension between loyalty to Trump and pressure from voters who are feeling the impact at the supermarket. Tariffs are no longer an abstract policy idea. They are now visible on bills, receipts, and business supply chains, and this visibility is creating dissatisfaction. At the same time, supporters of Trump who identify as MAGA remain more optimistic about tariffs. Though even within this group, many say the policies are harmful. The report makes clear that a growing number of voters across the political spectrum want tariffs reduced. Even among Republicans, a meaningful portion favor reduction when they are reminded that tariffs raise prices. Analysts argue that Democrats could use these concerns to force Republican lawmakers to take more public positions on the issue, tightening the political pressure inside Congress. But there is a glimmer of hope. Canada's ambassador to the U.S. is pushing strongly for a full 16-year extension of the USMCA trade agreement. Canada sees this upcoming review as a chance to keep North America resilient, secure, and competitive. The ambassador explained that the three countries have shared interests, but now must find terms that keep the pact stable. This is critical because if even one country refuses extension next year, the agreement triggers a 10-year period of talks meant to address concerns before a possible termination in 2036. This highlights the seriousness of the moment, noting that U.S. industry groups, labor unions, and other parties are testifying at hearings this week as part of the public input process. After gathering this information, USTR will send Congress a full report early next year with its goals for the agreement. The scale of this review is large. It covers industries, supply chains, agriculture, environmental rules, and digital trade standards. What emerges from these talks will shape North American trade conditions for decades. A major development that is following these events is China's reaction to the updated US-Malaysia trade deal. China says it is seriously concerned, especially about Article 5.3, which allows the US to cancel the agreement and restore tariffs if Malaysia or the US signs a future deal with another country that Washington believes harms American interests. The report explains that this language is widely seen as directed at China. This is not the only agreement affected. A similar clause appears in the US-Cambodia framework. This is putting Southeast Asian governments in a difficult position. They depend heavily on China economically, but want better access to American markets, and now must navigate around US rules that are designed to control their future trade relationships. The White House announced the revised deals with Malaysia and Cambodia in October, lowering reciprocal tariffs that were imposed earlier in the year. China's concern shows that even small wording changes in regional agreements can trigger major diplomatic tension. At the same time, the U.S. has decided to extend exemptions for 178 categories of Chinese products until November 2026. This shows that despite loud rhetoric, Washington still relies on Chinese imports in many sectors and is not ready to impose full tariffs on everything. China is watching these moves closely, analyzing where the US hesitates and where it pushes forward. So while Trump is making threats that could scuttle the US-China deal, the reality is much different. Americans are not happy, and the Republican Party is beginning to sound the alarm too. This is showing that the US has lost all leverage and must be careful while dealing with China. For more updates like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any upload.